Are you fed up of bad lighting, or even worse, do you not know what's good light and what's bad light and what kind of lighting would work best in each scenario? Don't worry. I'm Robyn from Robyn O'Brien Photography, and I help bloggers and product creators who want tips and tutorials on how to create products they're actually proud to share and make the most of effective visual marketing so you get the sales you want. So today, what are the biggest thing I kind of want to go through with you guys is the different qualities or properties of light. Okay, so we all know there are two main sources of light. You have the sun and you have artificial lighting. So it doesn't matter which of these you end up having to work with. So the good old-fashioned debate of I am an Etsy seller and I want to create product photography. It doesn't matter what kind of light you end up using if you don't understand it. Okay, so that's what we're going to look at the moment. There are 4 things that you need to know, and it's really, really important that we kind of real nail down on the language and how we describe lighting so that you can pick the most effective one for you, because there are so many different combinations of how you can work it that you kind of need to be able to get down to, I want this and this. And it's the this and this we're going to work on today. So the first thing that you need to understand is the intensity of light. So quite literally, how much the quantity of the light you have. Now, the biggest thing with quantity of light is distance plays a massive role in it. So if we talk about the sun, the size of the sun is huge, okay? But the distance from us makes it all relative. So I want to go through a quick demonstration of how quantity and distance plays a massive part in the intensity of the light. Okay, so the first one we're going to be looking at is the intensity of light, and this is going to sound really simple. And for this, we are quite literally going to use Donatello, and we're going to use this LED light. Okay, so quite literally, we are going to switch it on. We can obviously change the intensity by turning the light source itself up, and we can quite literally just change that, double the light. Obviously it's going to be more bright. Okay, the other way we can obviously do it is bring it closer, and as you can see, the shadows change the intensity of that light, and it works straight the same from the top. Intense, not so intense. Okay, all the same. Okay, so that's one way that we can change light. Now, what's interesting, and you can go into the real science behind this with inverse square law and everything, is basically if you want to start to control the intensity of the light, we can't change the sun itself. We're working with natural light. What we can do is we can move the subject further away, or we can move it closer, and it will change the intensity of that light. Okay, quite literally, less intense, more intense, less intense, more intense. Okay, so the general rule of thumb is half the distance, half the light. It's something to bear in mind. So okay, so the second thing that you need to know is you need to know the quality of the light. Now, quality of the light is where things kind of get a bit more complicated, because I'm not talking about the quality as in is it good quality or bad quality. I'm talking about whether it's hard or whether it's soft. Okay, and this is when people kind of get a bit lost. Okay, so soft lighting is diffused and it wraps itself around it, and again I'm going to show you in a second. Whereas hard light has a very distinct line between when it's light and when it's then shadow. Okay, so that's the difference. Soft, there's a nice transition. Hard, quick transition, straight line, hard shadow. That's your difference. Okay, we're going to go through that. Right, the next thing that we're going to want to look at is the difference between hard light and soft light. Now, an LED or flash is always going to give you a hard light, and we know this because when we put it on, we get those harsh line shadows. Yeah, we take the same situation, and all I'm doing is put a reflector in its place, and all of a sudden it's a lot softer. Soft, hard, soft, hard. And the only way you can kind of change that is by passing a direct light through something, because it helps shift it around. So basically, and this is where you can kind of be a bit more logical about it, you can use something as simple as a 5-in-1 diffuser. You could use something like tracing paper. You could use something like a shower curtain, a sheet. There are plenty of different things that you can use that you have lying around the house. You don't need to go out and buy technology. We don't believe in it. As Donatello says, sometimes the simplest gadget is the most effective. So that was hard to soft, okay? It's just the difference between the transition of the shadow from light to dark. Very, very simple. Okay, so the third thing that you need to know is direction. Direction makes a huge part. There are 3 main directions, 4 if you want to be picky, okay, where you can kind of put these lightings, okay? So, right, you've basically got straight on light, front lighting, flat lighting. You've got backlighting, the light coming from behind. You've got side lighting, like this one here, where it comes from a side and it doesn't matter which side it comes from. And then, of course, you've got above lighting, above straight down. So the reason why this is particularly in importance is it changes the way obviously light wraps around, especially if you then change the intensity and the quality of it, it will do something completely different. So direction plays a huge part in creating shadows. Shadows are important for texture, depth, and being able to create an emotional response. Okay, it's really, really important that you kind of get your head around those. So direction is cool, and direction plays a huge part when we start looking at ourselves. So scary up lighting, not very flattering. Scary down lighting, not very flattering. Side lighting and front lighting. Front lighting is not great unless you're doing something like a flat lay, or you want there's very specific scenarios for each one of these, and if you want to know exactly which one's the thing, we'll get to that on the 3rd video, okay? So when we get to picking the right one for different situations. So as you can see, direction plays a huge part in how it affects the lighting. The 4th type of thing that you need to know is colour. All light carries a colour with it, okay? So like direct illumination comes down, that's fine, and then what you find is that it will hit something. When it hits that something happens, okay? Because it will either be absorbed or it will be reflected. If it's reflected, it takes a colour with it, okay? And that's really, really important to know, especially if you're in your house or you've got curtains, or more importantly, even something as soft as the light source itself. Light sources themselves hold a particular colour value. Most people will have lighting like this. As you can see here, we don't have that kind of lighting, and natural lighting is probably the most easiest to get your head around when it comes to colour casting and the Kelvin value of those particular things. But basically, all you need to know at this moment in time is what colour is the light. Then we'll work into, do I need to change that? And we'll get into how to control that later, okay? So that's okay. But right now, what colour is that particular light? This is a cool white of a Kelvin value of 5,600. However, if I am to change my setting, you can literally watch it change, and it goes more yellow. This is more predominant on something that's white. So let me show you again something that's white. You can see something fairly white, and you get a very yellow background colour. It's very tinged, as you can see, very yellow, more of a standard white. Okay, so I want you to hit me up with a comment below telling me exactly which one you feel you have the most problems with, and I will do another tutorial for you. Now we need to apply this day-to-day living, okay? So the whole point of being able to do this is so that you can go out and you can figure out what lighting is. So we're going to go through a couple of scenarios, okay? So this particular scenario, I would like to know what you think this particular lighting is. It's as simple as that. I want you to come up with 3 different words all different words. Is it high intensity, low intensity? Is it soft? Is it hard? Where's the light coming from? And what colour is it? Did you get it right? I hope you did. So let's try it again. How close is the light? What's the quality type of light? Where's the light coming from? What colour is the light? These are 4 simple questions you should keep asking yourself. Every time you look at light and go, the light is not quite right. These are the questions that you need to ask yourself. So that you know how you can describe lighting so that you can work out which lighting is the best for you. If you liked this video, I want you to hit subscribe and make sure that you don't miss the next one, which is finding light